Hello, my name is Abebe Nagash. I'm speaking on behalf of Ethiopian Hearts for Peace and African Hearts for Peace. This is a focus on Eritrea and Ethiopia in relation to the US new non-interventionist strategic policy, otherwise known as NSS 2025. In there, we see Eritrean YouTubers explaining how it is Eritrea is positioned itself, because they're seeing the shift, sometimes correctly or not correctly. Let me get into this. The newly released 2025 United States National Security Strategy, otherwise known as NSS 2025, does indeed mark a shift in US policy towards Africa, and for a country like Eritrea with energy resources, mineral potential, and Red Sea coastline. This could pose important opportunities if the political conditions align. Here is what the NSS says and what that might mean in a way that echoes our thinking. What the 2025 NSS says that aligns with the view. The national security NSS strategy elevates critical minerals and materials, rare earth metals, and other resource inputs are central to US economic security and supply chain resilience. The strategy highlights energy investment, not just aid, including traditional energy, oil, gas, and likely energy infrastructure as a domain for US-Africa engagement. It calls for shifting US engagement in Africa away from aid-driven models toward trade, investment, and commercial partnership. When Africa is mentioned, the NSS lay out a framework of selective partnership, meaning Washington may prioritize countries that are stable and open to market-based cooperation. In short, the United States now frame African natural resources, minerals, energy, what have you, and strategic maritime access, not humanitarian aid, at the basis for future partnership. As you know, Ethiopia was big on this and Eritrea was never. Why this could matter for Eritrea and the wider Horn of Africa? Given that we noted Eritrea has energy potential, mineral wealth, and strategic maritime access, the NSS shift suggests potential for foreign investment in mining or energy sectors. Companies or US-backed investors may see Eritrea as a candidate for resource extraction or energy infrastructure. In this case, they don't need Ethiopia. Leveraging maritime access and ports. The US might value Red Sea access via the Horn for shipping routes, naval logistics interests, or trade corridors, offering strategic value to a coastal state like Eritrea if United States engage in this open market-based relationship with Ethiopia. However, if Ethiopia continue to engage in conflicts, United States might not want to engage in there. So this is a new leverage for cooperation beyond old aid-based dependency. Instead of humanitarian or development aid with coordinationalities, Eritrea might be able to engage via mutual beneficial investment deals if willing to meet US expectations. So a context of increased competition and scrutiny is there, because the NSS treats minerals and strategic resources as part of US national security. Such engagement will likely come with geopolitical strings attached, meaning Eritrea or any Horn country would face scrutiny about governance, stability, and alignment with the US supply chain interests. But there are important caveats and challenges. The same strategy underscores the U.S. wants trusted and stable partners. For countries with governance concerns, human rights records, capacity, or internal instability, U.S. investment may remain cautious or conditional. Some critics argue that a narrow focus on resource extraction risks reinforcing dependency or extractive relationships. That means importing minerals, raw materials without meaningful local industrialization or benefit for the population. So geopolitical competition, example with China, Russia, other powers, remain intense in the Horn. So external interests might come with pressure, leverage, or demands that don't always align with local interests or sovereignty. Here is what to watch and what could be strategic for Eritrea now. Given the window of opportunity, strategic steps from a peace and development oriented lens like ours, Ethiopian Hearts for Peace and African Hearts for Peace, magnitude, this might include mapping Eritrea resources and energy potential transparently, geopolitical studies, public data about minerals or energy infrastructure feasibility, so that proposed partnerships have credibility. Framing proposals as win-win, not extractive. That means offering joint ventures, value-added processing, not just raw export, local job creation, shared infrastructure to avoid the resource curse scenario. Eritreans, I believe, are conscious. I believe in them. Engaging regional and with neighbors, given our interest in Horn, wide reconciliation, highlight that stability plus cooperation in the Horn, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Somalia, others, makes foreign investment safer and more sustainable. So there should be a balancing between foreign interests and local autonomy, making clear that any cooperation must respect sovereignty, local priorities, and stability, something we have already envisioned in our modular governance ideas. My perspective, in light of our goals, from our vantage as someone envisioning a modular, technocratic, peace-oriented governance model for Ethiopia and by extension for reimagining Horn of Africa, this shift in US policy could be more than just geopolitics. It could be a real opportunity to attract external capital and resources without surrendering sovereignty or political autonomy, if managed smartly. But it must be approached with intentionality, transparency, long-term vision, local control, and above all, using resources to foster community development, not power consolidation or exploitation. See? Now, I would like to bring in US and other foreign perspectives here. One, Eritrea as a stabilizing force. This is the YouTubers' claim. Eritrea is a stabilizing force in the Horn, along with Egypt, Sudan, and Somalia. Correct aspects. Eritrea has a strategic position along the Red Sea, hosting ports and maritime access that are geopolitically important. Eritrea has historically maintained a relative internal stability compared with some neighbors. For US or other foreign powers, having stable partners in the Red Sea corridor is critical for shipping lanes and supply chains. Underline please. Shipping lanes and supply chains. Here, because of this, there is a misguided aspect. Labeling Eritrea as purely stabilizing overlooks its past role in regional conflicts. Example, involvement in Ethiopia-Eritrea border issues and influence in Tigray. Stability is not automatically synonymous with alignment with US or African regional interests. Eritrea's approach is often more self-interested or security-focused. Parallel for Ethiopia is Ethiopia can act as a stabilizing force if it resolves its internal conflicts. Its geographic size, population, and economic potential mean it heavily influences regional stability. However, ongoing civil conflicts, TPLF, Fano, Ola, ITSI, undermine both its leverage and the stability of neighbors, including Eritrea. 2. US perspective and Eritrean ports. Eritrean YouTuber claim Ethiopia wants access to Eritrean ports, but US doesn't want all the Horn stable. Eritrea can be a partner for US to secure the corridor. Here is the YouTuber's correct aspect. US strategic interest is in secure maritime corridors, minerals, and energy, not necessarily in the internal politics of every Horn country. Eritrea can be partner in protecting Red Sea shipping lanes. That's it. So there is a misguided aspect here. The statement implies that US might prefer instability elsewhere to maximize influence. 2. Simplistic. The US generally prefers predictable regional stability to secure investments and partnerships. So the YouTuber assumes US engagement is zero-sum between Eritrea and Ethiopia. In reality, the US could engage multiple actors simultaneously to balance influence. Parallel for Ethiopia in this matter. Ethiopia's civil war directly affects Eritrean port access. Without a stable Ethiopia, even the best bilateral agreements for port usage may fail. Ethiopia's leverage comes from its size, economy, and resource potential. Even being landlocked, it can negotiate access to Eritrean ports under conditions favorable to itself. 3. Ethiopia needs homegrown solutions. The YouTuber from Eritrea claims Ethiopians must solve their problems internally without US intervention. Correct aspects of this is external intervention rarely resolves the root cause of civil wars or ethnic conflicts. Peace and stability must come from local consensus, political compromises, and reconciliation, not imposed externally. Here is a misguided aspect. While true in principle, ignoring the potential constructive role of foreign mediation is also risky. Strategic and neutral mediators, example, African Union, regional partners, or even limited United States involvement can help prevent escalation. What's a parallel for Ethiopia? Solutions require inclusive negotiations among Amhara, Oromo, Tigray, Somali, and other groups. We, Ethiopian Hearts for Peace and African Hearts for Peace, model alliance well here. Dialogue, meritocratic leadership, and truth-seeking can prevent winner-take-all outcomes. 4. Economic and strategic leverage of Ethiopia. The Eritrean YouTuber claims Ethiopia is resource-rich, mineral, agriculture, energy, and can benefit Eritrea if stable. In this, the correct aspects are Ethiopia is indeed rich in resources and strategically positioned. Also, regional integration could benefit both Ethiopia and Eritrea. Those are the correct aspects. Where are the misguided aspects here? Assuming automatic benefit ignores political, infrastructural, and trust barriers. Eritrea has historically prioritized its own strategic security over economic partnership, so mutual benefit is not guaranteed. This is what the Eritrean YouTuber, I feel like, misguided. So the parallel for Ethiopia, a peaceful, stable Ethiopia could turn its internal resources into regional influence. Integration of port access, energy trade, and minerals could help secure long-term economic and political stability. So what do we mean by the winner-take-all warning? The Eritrean YouTubers claim if one group dominates, Amhara, Oromo, Somali, Tigray, the nation may be beyond repair. Maybe I heard it from the same YouTuber or someone else. The correct aspect of this is winner-takes-all dynamics in ethically diverse nations almost always lead to a cycle of conflict. Inclusive governance is necessary for sustainable peace. Yes, we agree. Where is misguided aspect here? The YouTubers from Eritrea imply inevitably, which is overly deterministic. Ethiopia's modular or technocratic governance could prevent a total collapse scenario. We just want to put that in for you. What's the parallel for Ethiopia? Our modular governance vision aligns perfectly. Decentralized, technocratic, and merit-based systems could allow ethnic groups to govern themselves while maintaining national cohesion. That's all we say. Avoiding total domination by any single group is critical to maintain peace, economic development, and regional influence. Even the government, using drones and AI-driven weaponry, cannot secure peace. No way. From foreign perspectives, the US and others, you see, US prioritized Red Sea stability, energy, critical minerals, and maritime corridors that now we know. Likely favors partnership with actors that guarantee predictability, not perpetual conflict. European Union and China invest economically, often hedging between Ethiopia and Eritrea depending on which country guarantees access and resources. Then you have the regional powers like Egypt, Sudan, Somalia, interested in influence over Nile waters, Red Sea access, and regional security. Ethiopia's internal stability heavily affects all these actors. So our key takeaway here is, one, the Eritrean YouTubers are correct to point out that Eritrea has a strategic value. Ethiopia has internal leverage and resources. Stability is necessary for economic access and regional benefits. Internal Ethiopian solutions are essential for sustainable peace. They are correct. Where are they misguided? They oversimplify US intentions as wanting stability, assuming automatic Eritrean benefit from Ethiopian resources, ignoring the potential constructive role of natural mediation or neutral mediation. They ignored all of that. The parallels for Ethiopians: Ethiopia must achieve peace internally to leverage external partnership. Resource wealth can be regional leverage if governance is stable. Avoiding winner-takes-all outcome is critical. Inclusive, modular technocratic governance can transform regional influence and prevent collapse. If we see the dynamics clearly, now we can unpack to make a broader regional and global picture by looking at the US NSS 2025, which is not interventionist, to show that the NSS frames US interests in Africa around strategic partnership, investment, and stability, rather than regime change or direct military intervention. This means Washington wants predictable environment, energy and mineral access, and maritime security, but it does not aim to micromanage conflicts in Ethiopia or elsewhere. That time is over. For Ethiopia, this implies no automatic US security or diplomatic pressure to resolve civil war, unlike past interventions or aid conditionality. 2. Bilateral agreements, Eritrean ports, Red Sea security, all depend on Ethiopian stability, believe it or not. A formal deal between Ethiopia and Eritrea for port access, trade corridors, or even joint security operations requires a functioning and stable Ethiopian government. If Ethiopia is trapped in civil conflict or ethnic winner takes all dynamics, port access agreements or joint operations are symbolic at best. They cannot be implemented effectively on the ground. Eritrea's strategic value is linked to who in Ethiopia can enforce agreements and whether the country can maintain security around trade corridors. 3. Influence of other powers like China, Russia, Gulf states. These powers have invested interests in Ethiopia, from mining and infrastructure projects to energy, agriculture, vast lands, ports, and logistics. Their goals are mixed. Some seek stability to protect investments, others may exploit instability to expand influence, secure concessions, or hedge against US engagement. In a vacuum created by the US stepping back under NSS 2025, the risk is that Ethiopia becomes a theater for competing foreign influence, rather than a stable partner leveraging Eritrean ports. 4. The opportunity and the vacuum. US absence creates space for other actors to fill. China, Russia, Gulf states, and regional powers could expand economic, political, and security influence. If Ethiopia cannot stabilize itself, these actors could dictate terms of access, investment, or corridor security, reducing Ethiopia's leverage despite its resources and geographic importance. Conversely, if Ethiopia achieves internal peace and inclusive governance, it can leverage its size, resources, and geographic location to control port access, negotiate with multiple partners, and extract maximum benefit. So here are the strategic takeaways for you. Ethiopian internal peace is a prerequisite for any meaningful benefit from Eritrean ports, Red Sea security, or global partnerships. Without domestic stability, even bilateral or regional agreements become meaningless because foreign powers, China, Russia, Gulf states, will exploit the vacuum. The NSS 2025 framing shows that the US is encouraging local solutions and regional stability, but is not providing direct intervention. So the initiative and responsibility fall squarely on Ethiopians. Key parallel: Eritrea can maintain stability, but its benefits from Ethiopian resources are conditional. Ethiopia must stabilize internally to unlock strategic leverage. US provides opportunity through non-interventionist partnership, favors stability, but will not impose it. Other global powers ready to fill in any vacuum, opportunity or threat, depending on Ethiopia's internal cohesion. Thank you very much. This is Abebe Negash from Ethiopian Hearts for Peace and African Hearts for Peace. This is our final call. I am Abebe Negash on behalf of Ethiopian Hearts for Peace and African Hearts for Peace. This is our statement, regional peace statement from Ethiopian Hearts for Peace and African Hearts for Peace. This is in regard to NSS 2025 and the future of peace in the Horn of Africa. To the people of the Horn of Africa, community elders, youth, intellectuals, service members, civil servants, traditional leaders, and every soul who carries the burden of conflict, the world has entered a new era. The 2025 US National Security Strategy confirmed that many have already seen with their own eyes. The age of external rescue is over. The era of foreign intervention is ended. For decades, our region lived under the shadow of Cold War, proxy battles, post 9/11 interventions, and aid-driven politics. Many believed that whenever our fires burned out of control, the international community, or specifically the United States, would step in, mediate, negotiate, or intervene. But today, the global agenda has shifted. The new strategic reality is this. Number one, outside powers will no longer intervene to solve our internal conflicts. Not militarily, not politically, not through humanitarian nation building or whatsoever. Number two, even in the face of massacre, displacement, or famine, the world is turning inward. Conflicts are increasingly seen as regional responsibilities, not international obligations. 3. Aid is shrinking. Investment and minerals now drive foreign engagement. This means suffering alone will not bring help. Diplomacy alone will not bring protection. And waiting for foreign salvation will not bring peace. What this means for the Horn of Africa. This new global reality forces an undeniable truth upon us. Peace in our region must be built by us, not imported. No strategy in Washington, Brussels, Beijing, or Moscow will bring peace to the Amhara highlands, the lowlands of Afar, the Somali region, Oromo, Tigray, Eritrean, Sudan, South Sudan, or Somalia. Our internal dispute must be solved internally, with courage, dialogue, and wisdom. A warning for those considering flight. For decades, many believed that fleeing to Western nations would provide protection from instability at home. But today, migration routes are closing. Immigration enforcement is tightening. Legal protections are shrinking. People risk losing everything, savings, property, family unity in the journey or upon arrival. This does not mean people should not dream of safety, but the reality must be spoken honestly. Depending on refugee pathways as an escape from conflict is no longer reliable. The world that once received refugees is closing its doors. Stop waiting for foreign solutions. This is a message not to governments or armed groups or politicians specifically, but to our entire society. No foreign power is coming to fix our internal problems. No outside military will stabilize our borders. No superpower will rescue us from our own divisions. No external nation will rebuild our institutions for us. Whatever poison they left for us, we need to neutralize it. Whether we like it or not, the Horn of Africa must decide its own future. So this is our call for a new model: modular, meritocratic, technocratic governance for all Africans. African Hearts for Peace advocates for a new direction, not ideology, not party politics, but practical, peaceful, technologically competent governance rooted in our traditions. You may ask, what's modular governance? It is a localized systems that fit local realities, connected into a national framework. communities managing themselves but interlinked through technology, trade, and law. What is meritocracy? Meritocracy is placing knowledgeable, skilled, ethical people, engineers, economists, scientists, educators, community elders in position of responsibility. Today's world requires advanced manufacturing, mining expertise, energy engineering, digital infrastructure, data systems, logistics, geospatial mapping, climate management, and AI-assisted administration. You cannot run a 21st century nation with the 19th century politics. When we say modular system of governance, we mean interconnected regional systems. Governance that is modern, efficient, transparent, and compatible across borders, allowing trade, stability, and cooperation to work. So this means it's ending the age of self-enrichment politics. The era of quick power, quick dollars, and aid dependency is over. The world will not keep funding the failure of our elites. So hear the new reality. Smart, skilled people must rise. Peace will not come from slogans, ethnicity, or old ideology. It will come from engineers, teachers, doctors, planners, innovators, elders, community organizers, and truth seekers like me. People who love their land more than they love personal gain. People who understand that technology, manufacturing, energy production, and mineral development are the future, and that Africa must train its own sons and daughters to lead these fields. We say these words with humility, not accusation. No one is coming to save us. We must save ourselves. This is not hopelessness. This is empowerment. Because once we accept responsibility, we reclaim our strength. Once we stop waiting, we start building. Once we let go of old fights, we make space for new futures. The Horn of Africa can heal, but the healing must come from within. Truthfully, peacefully, technologically, with wisdom, and with love for our land. I understand exactly what I am conveying here. I want it to be safe. First of all, I'm not accusing anybody. Non-political, non-targeted, community-wide, or any humanitarian forum there. To our brothers and sisters across the global diaspora, citizens, permanent residents, green card holders, asylum applicants, TPS holders, students, workers, and those without documentation. We speak to you with care and honesty. Today's immigration environment has become unpredictable. Enforcement actions are not always precise. In many situations, officers do not have time to verify a person's full story. Documentation may not be reviewed properly at the moment of arrest. Legal status may not protect someone in the immediate encounter. People can be held until verification is sorted. Some individuals have been transferred or deported to countries that are not their birthplace. This is not said to create fear. It is said to prevent tragedy. In today's system, all immigrants are effectively treated the same in the first moment of detention. Citizen or green card holder, asylum applicants or worker, documented or undocumented, everyone is inside the same initial basket until the system checks their identity. This reality puts the entire diaspora at risk, regardless of status. What is this means for all of us? This new era teaches one painful but important lesson. Destabilizing our home country will not guarantee safety abroad. Escaping conflict back home will not guarantee refugee overseas. The doors that were once open are now narrowing. There is no guaranteed asylum, no automatic protection, no easy pathways to safety if our homeland collapses. Because of this new global environment, we say with love and responsibility, please stop contributing to destabilization back home. Please stop fueling divisions, hatred, and conflicts from abroad. Please stop financing tensions or escalating political flight. Nobody is a winner on this. Whatever the political ideology, whatever the historical grievance, whatever the anger carried from the past, destabilizing your homeland will not protect you. It will only endanger millions, both at home and in the diaspora. So we say the path forward is only peace. Peace is a survival strategy. In this new world, peace is not just a moral duty, it's a survival necessity. If there is stability back home, diaspora families have a foundation. If there is space in the Horn of Africa, people do not run. If conflict ends, the risk of deportation and displacement decreases. We must shift our mindset from exporting anger to exporting peace, from fueling conflict to supporting reconstruction, from political shouting to technocratic solutions, from diaspora warfare to diaspora healing. Because destabilizing your homeland from thousands of miles away is no longer just harmful, it is dangerous for you, your family, your community, and your future. Once more, I have a final words from African Hearts for Peace. We speak these truths not to judge, but to protect. The world is changing. Immigration systems are tightening. Borders are closing. Verification has become harsh and mistakes happen. This is the time to redirect conflict, not to increase it. This is the time to claim the fire, not feed it. This is the time to support peace, not chaos. If our homeland heals, we heal. If our homeland is stable, we have dignity everywhere. If our homeland stands strong, no foreign system can shake us. I thank you very much. This is Abebe Nagash on behalf of Ethiopian Hearts for Peace and African Hearts for Peace. Thank you.